Good evening, Board President Wilson, members of the school board, and Superintendent Dr. Campbell. Thank you for my past 9 years at Rainier View Elementary. I am looking forward to my time in the future with Green Gables Elementary. I have had opportunities to visit with staff, students, and community members, and I've really been enjoying my time there. I look forward to becoming Green Gables' 5th principal and spending many years to come there.
I am pleased to share the appointment of the principal of Lake Duluth Elementary School for the 2018-19 school year. Daksha Thomas currently serves as the Director of Family and Community Engagement in the Kent School District. Prior to this, she held the role of principal of East Hill Elementary School, also in the Kent School District. Ms. Thomas leads with an emphasis on teamwork, collaboration, and data analysis, with a focus on scholar achievement and relationship building. Daksha received a Master's in Curriculum and Instruction in Educational Technology from Lesley University and an Educational Administrator certification from the University of Washington. Please join me in congratulating Daksha Thomas.
Good evening, Board President Wilson, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Campbell. I'm humbled and honored to serve as the new principal of Lake Duluth Elementary School. My goal is to work collaboratively and support my team so that we can build a common vision of equity and excellence, one where our scholars are at the heart of everything that we do. With high expectations for teaching and learning, along with an unwavering belief that every student will succeed, I'm confident that our students will thrive academically, socially, and emotionally at Lake Duluth. Thank you for this opportunity.
I am pleased to share the appointment of the principal of Rainier View Elementary School for the 2018-19 school year. Lizonda Collins currently serves as principal of Meridian Elementary School in the Kent School District. In previous roles, she served as assistant principal at Mill Creek Middle School, administrator for the Kent Technology Academy at Mill Creek Middle School, and administrator for the Cambridge program at Lakota Middle School here in Federal Way Public Schools. She is a collaborative leader, strategic planner, and enjoys fostering strong working relationships with scholars, staffs, and parents. Ms. Collins earned a Master's in Education from Heritage University as well as a Master's in Education Administration from Grand Canyon University. Please join me in congratulating Lizonda Collins.
Thank you. Good evening, Board President Wilson, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Campbell. I want to express my deepest gratitude for this remarkable opportunity to be the next principal of Rainier View Elementary. I'm eager to build on and increase the academic success of Rainier View. As I serve my scholars, staff, parents, and community, an enormous portion of my vision for the school is to strengthen this concept that we have around equity and scholar voice as we grow more into using our strategic goals, number 1 and number 2. I'm looking forward to rolling up my sleeves, working side by side with all those vested members to maximize the educational possibilities for everyone and attain academic success for each and every one of my scholars. I will do this by focusing on implementing rigorous instruction practices throughout the building. Again, thank you for this wonderful opportunity to become a part of the Federal Way team.
I am pleased to share the appointment of the principal of Sherwood Forest Elementary School for the 2018-19 school year. Sarah Gill has served as principal of Lake Duluth Elementary for almost 10 years, where she helped develop a strong academic foundation while focusing on the social and emotional learning needs of scholars. Additionally, she worked with staff to become one of the first schools to implement positive behavior interventions and supports. In previous roles, Sarah served as a principal of Southern Heights Elementary and Highline Public Schools, and as a teacher for both California and Highline Public Schools. Sarah received a master's degree in Education and Administration and principal certification from City University of Seattle. Please join me in congratulating Sarah Gill.
Good evening, Board President Wilson, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Campbell. I am honored and excited to have the opportunity to join Sherwood Forest community. I look forward to partnering with scholars, staff, and families to continue their commitment of excellence. Thank you.
I am pleased to share the appointment of the principal of Pahala Elementary for the 2018-19 school year. Erica Rednicki Rudnicki has served as assistant principal at Panther Lake Elementary since 2014. During her tenure, she helped champion ongoing improvement of teaching and learning for scholars and staff, aimed at ensuring each scholar has equitable access to standards-aligned curriculum and common learning outcomes. In previous roles, Erica served as Dean of Students at Star Lake Elementary and as a music teacher at Forks Middle School in Forks, Washington. Erica received a master's degree in music education from University of Oregon, in addition to a principal certification from Seattle Pacific University. Please join me in congratulating Erica Rudnicki.
Good evening, Board President Wilson, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Campbell. Thank you for the opportunity to continue to serve scholars in Federal Way Public Schools. I've become acquainted with the Pahala community, and I'm looking forward to serving as the next principal. I have benefited from the opportunity to learn and grow as an educator in the Federal Way Public Schools, and I'm committed to lead and support the work toward achieving the goals outlined in the strategic plan. Thank you.
I am pleased to share the appointment of the principal of Wildwood Elementary for the 2018-19 school year. Stephanie Wright has provided leadership as assistant principal at Olympic View Elementary for the past 2 years. Stephanie completed her principal internship at Lakeland Elementary, where she also served for 2 years as an instructional coach and 12 years as a teacher. In 2012, Stephanie received her credential as a National Board Certified Teacher. Stephanie received a Master's in Educational Leadership and Principal Certification from City University. Please join me in congratulating Stephanie Wright.
Good evening, Board President Wilson, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Campbell. I am so honored to be serving in the Federal Way community, and I thank you for this opportunity to lead. I am excited to join the Wildwood team, where I bring my passion for equity, my belief in high expectations for all, and my commitment to provide all scholars with rich learning experiences. I look forward to collaborating with Wildwood's dedicated staff and families as we continue to engage in strengthening our work around Goal 2 and Goal 4 to ensure all scholars achieve at high levels. Thank you.
I am pleased to share the appointment of the interim principal of Totem Middle School for the 2018-19 school year. Caitlin Boline has provided leadership as assistant principal of Totem Middle School for the 2017-18 school year. During that time, she helped lead school improvement plan work and created a welcoming environment for family engagement. In previous roles, Caitlin served as District Transformation Director for English as a Second Language and Director Principal of Alternative Education for Battle Creek Public Schools in Michigan. In addition, she was the District Curriculum and ESL Coordinator for La Academia de Estrellas in Texas. Caitlin received a Master's in Educational Leadership and ESL in Reading from Dallas Baptist University. Please join me in congratulating Caitlin Boline.
Good evening, Board President Wilson, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Campbell. I am honored to have the great responsibility to lead Totem as an environment that prioritizes safety, scholar-centered learning, and respect for all in our diverse community. I look forward to the continued work of building meaningful, authentic relationships with the Totem community to achieve our shared goals. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and we welcome all of you to Federal Way Public Schools. If you are new to us, and if not, thank you for committing and providing leadership to the scholars in our community. Next up is good news announcements, and Director McAnalloy is going to join Superintendent Campbell down in front while we do a little celebration here. All right. So we are so proud of the Pacific Islander Club, who took first place in the overall 4th annual Samoan Arts and Academics competition. They also took home multiple awards in academics and dance ensembles. The club's name is Lumana Ole Pacifica, means Future of the Pacific. Ooh, I hope I did that right. Scholars who placed in the individual student academic awards, please come forward when I call your name. Julio Chavez Tili and Macy Dent received the Atame Award for achieving the highest GPAs for the first semester and strong academic performance in the second semester progress report. Awesome. Congratulations. Ifeta Toso received the Ali Award for outstanding academic performance throughout the high school career, in addition to demonstrating leadership throughout the community. Ifeta Toso, are you here today? We are celebrating you. Mana Tuiana, the other staff who support the club are also welcome to come forward too. Are you somewhere in the back of the room? Can you make your way forward? Lumana Ole Pacifica describes themselves not as a club, but rather a family. They welcome any student who wants to participate. This effort is in direct support of the district's strategic plan, Goal 3, active learners, engaged, empowered, critical thinkers. Thank you, and thank you for representing the club. Awesome job. All right, next up, for the first time, the City of Federal Way Arts Commission invited all...
We have your award recipient.
Oh, come. Woohoo! Ifeta? Awesome. Okay, another picture opportunity here. Are you Julio? All right, thank you for stopping that. Here we go. For the first time, the City of Federal Way Arts Commission invited all district high schools to submit pieces of art to be displayed at City Hall. 17 scholars were recently recognized at a City Council meeting for their artwork. Scholars, when I call your names, please come forward to be recognized. Hayun Rowe, Henry Youngjohn, Alexandra Tangonen, Gia Armstrong, Christina Ghazi, Kyle McCoy, Grace Chung, Jamie Hahn, Sophia Vazquez, Ileana Watkins, Jenna Louise D., Samantha Mendoza Roas, Hallie Cromwell, Glenna Park, Catherine Hunan, Lucia Ruiz Amador, and Patricia Orsiuoli. We would like to thank Vicki Chenoweth, Vice Chair of the City of Federal Way Arts Commission, who helped lead this effort, and welcome him to come forward. Teachers and administrators are also welcome to come forward at this time. We are proud of our scholars' commitment to the arts, which supports Strategic Plan Goal 4, content area competence, mastery of all subjects. Nice job.
The National Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association announced one of Federal Way Public Schools' athletic directors has been recognized as a certified athletic administrator. To earn this distinction, the candidate is one of a few elite nationwide that demonstrates the highest level of knowledge and expertise in the field of interscholastic athletic administration. Tim Kuykendall. He is the athletic director of Todd Beamer High School. Athletic Director Jerry Peterson and school administrators are welcome to come forward too as we take pictures. This achievement supports our scholars' participation in extracurricular activities and direct support of Strategic Plan Goal 3, active learners, engaged, empowered, critical thinkers.
Lake Dolph recently celebrated 14 students at an assembly who have had perfect attendance from the first day of school until present. Scholars, when I call your name, please come forward. Sarah Abadi, Hosanna Askew, Aubrey Bahena, Elisa Frost Allen, Priscilla Jimenez, Warren Kamanu, Raytam Maroda, Elsie Nguyen, Michaela Pendo, Lucas Spielman, Blessing Thorson, Peyton Thorson,
You're going to probably have to do 2 rows, so I can already...
Jermaine Taffa, and Elliot Warren. Teachers and administrators are welcome to come forward at this time. This is in support of Goal 2 of the district strategic plan, Whole Child, Thriving, Confident, Responsible Individuals. Congratulations.
Way to go. Way to
Yeah. At the elementary math bonanza, students participated in many events, including 2 team events, excuse me, of algebra and probability and of geometry and potpourri team test. Each test consists of both easy and hard problems to provide both confidence and excuse me, challenges to all of our participants. We'd like to recognize representatives of the highest scoring teams in each grade across the district. Scholars, when I call your names, please come forward. And if there are teachers and administrators from these groups, please, from these schools, please come forward as well. Elijah Glenn, Sharia Sharma, Narita Montalano, Benjamin Pat. Sorry. Now, where am I? Oh, I I don't have him on my list.
Did you do Narita?
No, I didn't have, I don't have,
You're at Jasmine.
no, I don't have Benjamin on this list.
Oh, okay.
Jasmine Baines. Caden Yearby. Maximilian Kahn. Tyler Kim. Grace Kim. Hayden Lum. Andrew Hune. Noah Mukai. Archer McQuiston. Sylvia. Allegra Reyes. Vincent Kawichiocho. Justin Wan Lee.
Yeah, that's the only one that wasn't there. That's weird. That's weird. I'm glad.
This effort is in direct support of the district's strategic plan goal 4, content area competence, mastery of all subjects. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What was that name? Benjamin Pat?
Is that all of them?
No.
The next accomplishment is in direct support of strategic goal 4, content area competence. Sequoia Middle School Orchestra received the highest marks at the Valley Regional Washington Music Educators Association Orchestra Contest. This has never been accomplished by Sequoia in its 13-year history. Musician scholars, please come forward to be recognized. Sheridan Kelsey, Hannah Yagan, Dasha Omelkenko, Leslie Cadena Castro, Adrian Lair, Brandon Lee, Aaron Lee, Mia Nash, Chris Guzman Jovel, and TJ Belongoning. Teachers and administrators are welcome to come forward at this time. Great work. Congratulations, everyone.
I don't have a clue what they're doing.
Our next recognition is in support of strategic goal 4, content area competence, mastery of all subjects. Both Sherwood Forest third grader Kicho Betelon and fourth grader Donta Cruz support Reading Buddies faithfully every morning before school to mentor kindergarten, first and second grade scholars, and are making a positive impact by helping our younger scholars start their day right. Scholars, please come forward to be recognized, along with teachers and administrators as well. We are all proud of you. Congratulations.
Nope. Jeffrey, you need to stay right down here. We have one more thing we're going to do here, and what we're going to ask you to do is, we have a little bit of a celebration, and so y'all in the back, I know there's a lot of folks here who are going to need to make room because we have some graduates coming through, and I'm so pleased that you're all here to celebrate their graduation tonight. So I'm going to pass this over to Ashley Barker. I just want you to be aware that folks are going to be making their way through when we do pomp and circumstance. So here we go.
Good evening. Thanks everyone for coming to Megan and Jaden's graduation. I'm Ashley Barker, and I'm absolutely proud to serve as these two scholars' principal. Tonight, like Director Wilson said, we are recognizing our graduates who have persisted to graduation, Goal 5 of our strategic plan. We are so proud of them and are excited to recognize this great achievement now. I'll first read the biographies of all the graduates, the two tonight. After I've read the bios, graduates, will you come up individually to receive your diploma after the bios are read? So just go ahead and wait 1 minute, and then we're going to play a song for you. First of all, Megan Hoffman has successfully completed her requirements to graduate despite all obstacles. She plans to continue studying child development and to be a teacher assistant. We're so proud of Megan. We'd like to thank her boyfriend, Julian, and also her mom. Megan would like to thank all the staff at Open Doors, particularly her case manager, Melissa Santoyo. And it was really important tonight for her to graduate because her baby's coming in about 2 weeks. Next. Yep. Hang on 1 second. We want to play a song for both of you. So Jaden Guzman worked in our online program diligently, and then we made the switch to project-based learning. What was great is we learned that Jaden could teach himself how to code. He created his own website for his final project. He plans on continuing in a college program for coding, and Jaden showed great diligence in completing his education. He actually commuted from Anacortes to come down to Federal Way and complete. Open Doors looks forward to seeing your future success, and he would like to thank his family, and then we'd like to thank his case manager, Raul, for paving the way for him to get here tonight. Now, each graduate, we're going to play a song, and then you'll come up individually and receive your certificate.
Here we go. I'll just do it from here.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, is that okay?
Well, she's got something she's going to say.
Who's that? Oh, go for it then. Yeah.
right. Our next big event is the Because of You Award, which really is in honor and recognition of our teachers and the hard work that they do, nominated by scholars. The scholars on the advisory of the superintendent created the Because of You Award process, which allows scholars in grades 3 through 12 to nominate any educator in Federal Way Public Schools to be recognized by the superintendent in partnership with the school board. This allows educators who go above and beyond in supporting their scholars and are positively impacting their community to receive this recognition that they so well deserve. Every month, all of the nominations are reviewed by the advisory to the superintendent officers, and most impactful nominees are chosen to be given this award. We want to personally thank you and honor you at this time. We'll now acknowledge the recipients. Kim Silvernail, who is a 4th and 5th grade highly capable teacher at Green Gables Elementary School, forwarded to be recognized. She was nominated by Abigail Murrin, Rosie Hoxie, Hudson Gortsky, Austin Irons, Royce Lulu Petrie, and Sophia Wadesworth Drake. Each of these scholars shared that Miss Silvernail is kind, funny, helpful, and a great teacher. Abigail and Austin agreed that Miss Silvernail treats her scholars like they are her own. Lulu conveyed that Miss Silvernail challenged her move. Hudson stated that she'd helped him with decision making. Because of you, these scholars say they feel cared for. Kim, if you could come forward and be recognized. Another recipient we'd like to recognize. We'd like to call Carrie Young, avid teacher at Illahee Middle School, forward to be recognized. She was nominated by Librini Fasili and Caitlin Chan. Librini shared that Mrs. Young makes an impact on her daily as she leaves her classroom every day with a smile and with renewed confidence. Caitlin stated Mrs. Young is someone she can trust and makes her feel like she has a home at school. Although Caitlin is now in high school, she feels that she can still go to Mrs. Young for support. Because of you, Caitlin and Librini say you are inspired to stay young. Thank you. We'd now like to call Eileen Greeley, science teacher at Open Doors, forward to be recognized. She was nominated by Jane Fonyu. Jane shared that when she started at Open Doors, Eileen helped her succeed in her classes as she pushed her forward towards graduation. She shared that Eileen has been there to encourage her. Although Jane started Open Doors last year with only a few credits, she is on track to graduate this year. Because of you, Jane is proud to say she will be graduating and going to college. Eileen Greenlee. Right. We'd like to call Chris Leslie, orchestra and band director at Sequoia Middle School, forward to be recognized. He was nominated by Julia Jung. Julia shared how much Mr. Leslie cares for his scholars and how he pushes them to the edge of their knowledge. She states that Mr. Leslie is very willing to go above and beyond to help his scholars. Once more, he has renewed Julia's love for the cello. Because of you, school is much more enjoyable. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. We are transitioning into our regular meeting, and so if you're here for the Because of You or for good news and you need to go home to do homework or something, please feel free to leave. We won't take anything. We won't take it personally at all. Those of you that are in the back, as people leave, there may be some seats, so we'll just give a sec here to let people do some reorganizing. All right, next up is Legislative Liaison Update. Director Gregory.
No report.
All right. So we are going to move on to public comment. We have a lot of public comment tonight. I just want to remind folks that you have 3 minutes, and if you've never done public comment before, when I call your name, please come forward, and I think I might do 3 names at a time so folks could come and be ready to go. That way we can kind of move more quickly. You'll have 3 minutes. Please don't take it personally. You'll see a green light, you'll see a yellow light, and then you'll see a red light. Green light means go, yellow light means you have a little bit of time left, and a red light will mean I'll respectfully ask you to wrap up your comments, and then we'll move on to the next person who'd like to give public comment. Just also FYI, during public comment period, protocol of meetings are that the board listens to what everyone has to say, but we won't respond during public comment time. We have a time on the agenda for board comments and also superintendent comments, and so if there are comments or responses, that's the time that they will occur, just so people don't think we're being disrespectful and not speaking back. Okay? So with that, I'm going to call the first 3 names, and if you could be ready to go. Sandy Clayton, speaking on inclusion. Hope Seichel, and Tammy Krupp, talking about safety and discipline. So let's start with Sandy.
Good evening, Board President Wilson, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Campbell. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name's Sandy Clayton, and this is my son, Sam, who's in the 8th grade at Pahala Middle School. I know, good for you. I note that I do not refer to the school as TAF at Pahala because Sam is not included as any part of the academy. I am here to respectfully demand that the board and the district administrators take positive steps to make children with special needs valued students and to include them to the greatest extent possible with their typically developing peers. By this, I don't mean to merely be in compliance with the law, but to set the bar higher and provide an inclusive environment for all our children, as is their right. My son is in the functional core class at Pahala. In the 3 years he's attended that school, I would estimate the percentage of time being genuinely included to be less than 2%. His class is isolated in the classroom and the lunchroom. The message being sent to their typically developing peers is that they are inferior, that they are to be ignored, that they are not worthy of basic human rights. The Federal Way Public School Annual Report for 2015-16 indicates that the total percentage of children enrolled in special education was 12.9%. That percentage is greater than the total number of American Indian Alaskan Native students enrolled. It is greater than the number of Asian students enrolled. It is greater than the number of Black African American students enrolled. And it is greater than the number of multiracial students enrolled. Yet if any of those populations were isolated in classrooms, made to eat separate from other students, and treated with the disregard that the children in special education are treated, you can be sure there would be cries of civil rights violations. More to the point, you wouldn't see those scenarios because it would never occur to you to discriminate against any of those populations. So why is it okay to discriminate against children with special needs? The special needs professionals in the district, teachers, paraeducators, therapists, try tirelessly to do the right thing for our children, but they are not supported by the administration. Why? If you're thinking the reasons are financial, then I ask you to please be more creative in your thinking. Inclusion can start by simply implementing buddy systems within the school, starting in kindergarten, going right through the senior year in high school, and structure school schedules in a way that accommodates inclusion, particularly in the great abyss that is middle school. Encourage typically developing students to partner with students with disabilities, include them in recess, lunch, academic activities. No additional funding is required for that, and I know for a fact you would have more than an adequate number of volunteers because I witnessed it when Sam was at Green Gables and his teacher enthusiastically encouraged peers to mentor Sam and his classmates. They had more volunteers than they could reasonably use. If kids can figure it out, why can't our administration? Thank you.
Thank you. Hope.
Good evening. My name is Hope Shashan. I'm a student at Taffa Sahali, which is the same school that Sam goes to. I'm a 10th grader, and I've been with Taft Academy since the 6th grade, and I followed through with the transition to Sahali Middle School. And as I've experienced this attempt to unite both schools, I have felt that there's a lack of community feeling within our campus. It feels divided and that there isn't very much positive interactions between the school students as a whole. This is highlighted by a King 5 report that has recently been released surrounding the topic of lack of interaction between scholars in specialized programs and general ed. I myself have witnessed this very thing within the school. The scholars that are a part of the specialized program appear to be noticeably isolated and have no interactions with others in the school. It even seems to be that most scholars are scared to say hi or even interact with these students on a daily basis. As I've witnessed this, I have come up with a solution to bring in a program called Best Buddies into my school community. Best Buddies is a nonprofit organization common among the United States where they strive to end social, physical, and economic isolation of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities through different programs and events. The program I would like to bring it to Taft Sahali is one in which a high schooler would be paired up with one of the kids in the specialized program and have the chance to build a relationship with one another. My hope is to see this program create bonds and positive relationships between all scholars. While this is not solving the overall problem, this is a step in the right direction where we can teach scholars empathy and understanding. Having a sense of community and inclusiveness is a very crucial aspect of having the high quality education that is very much needed for the students in Taft Sahali to succeed.
Thank you, Hope. Next,
Hello, my
Tammy.
name's Tammy Krupp. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. My voice is going to be a little shaky. I'm a little nervous. There are parents that wanted to be here. Nautilus is having their last PTA meeting. There's several parents that wanted to be here and couldn't. I wanted to let the board know that. I am the data secretary and registrar at Sacagawea Middle School. Some of you may have heard about us. I just wanted to illustrate part of the safety and discipline concerns that are going on within the district, specifically at my school that I can speak with. As the registrar, I have had one student that was bullied at 2 different Christian schools. Parents chose to put him in our school. 3 weeks later, they took him out after we had incident after incident. This one particularly involved a student terrorizing a classroom pod. I don't think you can see this very well. Sacagawea is made up of outside access campus. Several campuses are, which allows anyone, all the doors are outside, all the windows are outside, anybody can walk around anywhere. With that being said, the hands-off policy that is not policy but actually is, Jeremy Bort, one of our union representatives, has spoken with over 700 members, and it might not be official, but it's been understood most of the year that there should be a hands-off policy when dealing with distraught and disruptive students. I'm here to say 100% of staff across the district are affected by discipline and safety issues. 100% of the staff, from the custodians to the principals. 95% of the students are affected by, I would say, a 5% population of discipline problems which result in extreme violence on occasion. That is a disturbing number. This is a district-wide problem. We are at crisis level. When I go home at night, I tell my husband what's going on, and I can't even begin to tell you how many stories I have. Our families are in fear for us to go to work sometimes. They say, why do you work there? Why don't you get another job? Why don't you go somewhere else? Because we love what we do. We love helping the kids. That's why we stay. The office staff, I work in the office, we have interaction with all of the students at one point or another. The teachers have interaction with all of the students all day, every day. Can you imagine being in a classroom with 32 or more students when you have 1 or 2 disruptive students, even one that is out of control and disrupting the whole class? Our staff is raw. It is raw across the district. We're counting the days. They started a countdown since it was day 80. We have a group of 11-year-olds that form their own squad to police their peers when they're acting out. We've had a Dean of the Month. For the last 3 months, we've had a different dean in our school each month. That's not consistent.
So can you finish I'm sorry, the red light. Okay, thank you.
Yes, I will wrap this up. We have one of the most dangerous jobs in education. Shootings are in schools, not just businesses anymore. How many of you have had active shooter training for your job?
Thank you.
Given this
Thank
fact,
you so much.
I have one more statement. The
I'm gonna stop
superintendent
you.
and the district is here in the bargaining committee. I think with this, we deserve and earn the raise that was mandated and funded by the state legislature.
Thank you very much for your... All right, next three up, Catherine Young, Stephanie Matus, and Lori Kenickeberg. Oh my gosh, I hope I didn't do too badly on those. Catherine.
Hi. Thank you for having me speak. You guys are failing us. I have 2 children who no longer are in this school district because I thought it was better somewhere else. I started a special needs PTA in this district to help families navigate a system that has people that break laws, people that don't show up to meetings about our children and speak a language that we do not speak and are expected to know. I educate families every week on what this legally is supposed to look like. And every time they report back to me, it doesn't look like that. Whether someone's not following an IEP on a day-to-day basis or just disregard coming to a meeting, the disconnect between families and district is glaring. This is furthered by district material that never addresses strategic plans for special needs children or ever even addresses the fact that they exist. I'm sorry, I'm reading. We beg and plead and scream for what's best for our children, from inclusion to safety to health, yet it falls on deaf ears and is always someone else's fault or a budget restriction. I could give you so many examples that make my stomach turn of things families have told me, but 2 that were glaring from my experience in this district. My kindergartner special ed child was dropped off at the wrong address to no receiving adult and left there. He was also given warm liquids when his IEP clearly stated he was supposed to have chilled liquids by medical mandate and developed pneumonia as a result. These are just 2 of my stories. You can imagine the hundreds and hundreds that I've heard from other families. I have 3 issues and concerns. Middle school does not have an adequate continuum of care. Academic core programs disappear. The sorting hat is restarted in high school, and these kids are not academically challenged or are not included the way that they need to be in middle school. I also have concerns about behavioral issues. Kids that are identified as behavioral issues are sent to SPED rooms because that's the only place they have to go. We have too many challenges for our kids for this to be happening. Teachers are overworked, underfunded, undersupported. We want inclusion, not integration, not segregation, and not exclusion, inclusion. Please look at these concerns. Now is the time for change. We can do it. Look at your teachers. They have ideas. They are scared to speak to you. They think their jobs are at risk. I hear this from teachers every day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Board President Wilson, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Campbell. I'm Stephanie Mateus. I'm an 11-year teacher here in Federal Way. My daughter is a senior at Federal Way High School, and she's supposed to go to Highline schools. I choiced her into Woodmont in kindergarten because Federal Way schools were what my daughter needed. I don't think I can say the same thing now. I'm here to talk about two things. The special education. My truth is I have 32 kids in a class and 17 of them have an IEP. And then they're going to go to Miss Knickerberg after that for math for 2 periods where she's at 24 students. And that's not small instruction. We're not meeting the needs of our special ed kids. And I don't know if you understand that, but it's kind of a big deal. I've got a few more stats. We have 7th grade classrooms, again, 31 students, 17 IEPs. We have 2 6th grade classes, one with 32 students, 11 are IEP, 9 are ELL. The same teacher has another class of 31 students, 9 IEPs, 3 ELLs. And we don't get a lot of support in science. Our paras are pulled to other locations. I'm a nationally board certified teacher in early adolescent science, and I've got a lot of tricks up my sleeve, but helping 17 kids in a class of 31 is almost impossible. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about is school safety. I'm at Sacagawea and I'm in the courtyard, and since the first month of school, I've seen nothing but physical altercations between 6th graders, 8th graders. I see my wonderful assistant principal, Trish Nesbitt, get sworn at and called names, unthinkable things. And we don't have any protection for that. We have students that sexually harass our teachers and our paras almost a daily basis. And that's not okay. And I don't think that you're aware of some of the things that are happening in our schools. And I really appreciate you allowing us to speak and kind of tell you our truth. Unlike the last person who spoke, I'm not afraid to talk to you. I'm not afraid to tell you, I sent you an email. So I care an awful lot about the district and the students that are here, and even more about my teachers and some of my best friends. And what's happening to us is not okay. And I hope that you listen to us and start making some changes in how our daily lives go.
Hello, my name is Lori Knickerberg, and I'm a 7-year resource teacher over at Sacagawea Middle School. I want to start by saying that I love my school, I love my students, and I love the staff that I work with. I do enjoy coming to school and working with my kids every day, but I feel like I'm being set up this year. It's like I'm being asked to climb this hill that is just impossible to climb because of the limited resources and the things that we're being asked to do as teachers this year. I have had to tell parents at IEP meetings this year that we do not provide small group instruction at Sacagawea Middle School. Even though it's listed as an accommodation that I wrote on their IEP, I'm not able to provide small group because I have classes with 24 students in them. Their resource level math class is 24. So when I'm doing a small group, in my small group class, it's still 12 kids in a small group. And that should be the size of my resource class. My kids are not making the growth that they are this year that they have in the years past because I can't reach and work with every kid. Because of our master schedule this year, there was no room to provide social skills instruction for the 13 kids on my caseload that require social skills instruction. Behaviors have increased. We've had parents withdraw students because they don't feel safe at Sacagawea. We have an academic core class with Miss Cindy Hubbard, and her class has 25 students in it. They're at the academic core level, and they're at a first, second, third grade level, and she has 25 students in her class. She's a wonderful teacher, but no matter how wonderful she is, she can't meet the needs of all of her students during that time. Last year, we were able to provide 120 minutes of math for academic core level students, and this year their minutes have gone from 120 to 84. SPED department is put in really uncomfortable positions because minutes are adjusted in order to meet master schedule needs and not meet the needs of the students. So we have had to constantly change IEP minutes this year because our master schedule has changed and kids aren't getting what they need. As it's looking for next year's schedule, we still will not be able to provide a social skills class because we've been told that the district can't afford it. And I'm pretty sure that's illegal. Our paraeducators are not able to support the number of IEP kids in general ed classes. I understand that whole child is a really important thing in the district, and we do need to address those needs, and it's impossible to do it this year with our class sizes and with one counselor for 800 students. So I really hope that we can see some changes next year for our kids.
Thank you. Next three up, Lisa Johnston, Michael McLeod, and Matt Menza.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity. I currently live in the Twin Lakes service area, where I have lived for the last 27 years. I'm a 40-year resident of Federal Way. I attended Federal Way schools through elementary and am retiring this year, but with 34 years of teaching experience. I come before you tonight both as a former parent in the district, as a current employee of the district, and as a voter, taxpayer, very concerned citizen. As you can tell from the number of people that are here to speak tonight, 3 minutes is not enough time. And I ask, plead, beg, urge you, please, to do some sort of town hall setting, to have individual listening tours, whatever, in each of your representative areas, to allow folks to have more voices to be heard. I don't know what time limit you want to give people, but 3 minutes isn't even close. That's like doing a 7,000-foot view of the mouse that's down in the field. I've taught all levels, from 3rd grade through gifted, through regular. Now I'm currently teaching special ed. And there's a lot of us who are leaving the district who have a lot still left to give. And we, as well as all the folks that are staying, would really like the opportunity, along with parents, along with concerned citizens. Even my gynecologist yesterday is talking about writing a letter because of what she's seeing with all of her patients coming through after 35 years here. Please, there's a lot of people that would really like to tell you more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Board President Wilson, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Campbell. Good evening to the hundreds of people who came here this evening. My name is Michael McLeod. I have 2 master's degrees in teaching. I've spent 40 years doing this. I started teaching at university and college level and worked my way up to elementary. There's a lot of truth in that. It is with sadness that I am here to address you tonight. A recess at an elementary school. A boy is standing on a hill at a distance from a basketball court, hurdling balls at the backstop. He has 2 or 3 friends who are collecting these balls and handing them back to him. When kids walk by, they are at risk of being smashed by these balls as they miss the backstop or as they ricochet off the backstop. It is clearly his backstop during recess. No other children are allowed to use it because the gang of 3 will make sure that they don't. There is no supervision during the recess period that seems to be aware of this, but this is clearly his backstop, his hill, his collection of basketballs. After each throw, one of his friends returns the ball to him. It is his exclusive territory to terrorize and to own during a recess. Ladies and gentlemen, if you understood the terror that pervades not just this one school, but a number of schools in the district, this would be what you started and ended each of your meetings dealing with. Thank you.
Good evening, Board President Wilson, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Campbell. Thanks for having me out today. I'm a parent at Green Gables, have several kids there. For the folks that are here to talk about safety and discipline issues, hold up your signs, hold up your hands, be quiet about it so we can not get kicked out, but I want everybody to see. So this is what a majority of the folks are here for. So we have an issue that's, a lot of the folks, I represent teachers and parents. Let me read a couple quotes I heard. The third speaker, I'm sorry I forgot your name, said, "We are at crisis level." Another teacher said, they have ideas but are afraid to speak. We have issues that we can solve, but we need the leadership backing to do this. And right now, PBIS, which sounds like a great plan and probably earn somebody a wonderful PhD, isn't necessarily the answer that the schools need right now. We're talking about real safety issues. We're talking about real safety issues, not just a little bit of bullying. We're talking about kindergartners and first graders using extreme foul language, F word, and sexual content that is something that I haven't seen, or sexual words, innuendos that I didn't know until I was in high school. Maybe I was sheltered, but it's a different time. Parents, it's a different time. Something's happening in our society. But what we need a little bit of tools. The teachers need tools. The teachers need to be empowered, and the parents need to get involved and get empowered so we can make changes. And we need your leadership. We need the leadership from top down to do this. We're not talking about small little bullying incidents that we all maybe experience. We need leadership, and you need to listen to the teachers, and they need to stop being afraid. So it means we need you to be open. And the perception is that they're not getting the support. Do you feel like we're getting the support? No. That's why they're here. And I'm going to reiterate this. We need to make changes. These are not trivial things. My kids are not scholars, and that's part of the problem. They're students, and they're children. That word right there tells me that we're out of touch with reality, okay? These are children, and we need to remember that they're children, and they need certain special support that they're not getting now. Sam needs the support. Other people need the support. They're children. They're not scholars. That has a clear definition if you look up what a scholar means. We need to start changing our focus, changing the leadership focus, and start listening to the people in the trenches doing the hard work, teachers and parents and volunteers.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Wayne Carlson, then Jessica Baxley, and Florence, is it Tanalia? Oh, Tanaka, okay, great, thank you.
Thank you, Board President Wilson, board members, and Superintendent Campbell. I admittedly am quite jealous of the crowd that you have here today. I'm the chair of the city's planning commission, and we're lucky if we can get 5 or 10 people. But I think that's illustrative of the care and concern that everybody in this room, both teachers, parents, grandparents, and you as board members, have for the well-being of Federal Way schools. As you're aware, and as a parent, we moved into our current home approximately 10 years ago because of the schools. They were generally pretty good, but we've seen a precipitous decline in the ratings of the schools. And in speaking to you as board members, I don't think that you probably want it to be on your watch, the reflection of this decline, under your leadership. But when I look around at the ratings of the schools, and see the work that the teachers are doing, I feel it's disheartening because They're doing a great job. The teachers didn't all of a sudden become less talented. They're just as good as they've always been. And so as previous speakers have indicated, it really has to do with the discipline and the unruliness in the schools. And I was kind of shocked to learn. I teach adjunct civil engineering at the University of Washington, so admittedly the students I'm dealing with are a bit older, but I had the opportunity to finally participate as a watchdog on Friday at Green Gables, and I quite frankly was shocked and horrified at just the lack of learning that was occurring during the school day as teachers were really had to spend their time, breaking up skirmishes and just trying to keep the peace. Admittedly, the afternoon was much worse because there was a substitute teacher, and that I would characterize as sheer anarchy. But even earlier in the day, there was disruptions throughout. I really urge you to take the discipline much more seriously, because there's not much learning that's going on if these teachers who have been hired to share their wisdom are breaking up fights. I broke up several, I wouldn't call them fights, but at least roughhousing amongst first graders. And I asked the sub, what does it take? What level of mischief rises to the level of being kicked out of class? And I got no answer. And so I don't know if that's because there's no guidelines or just what, but it's anarchy, and I was shocked and appalled.
Thank you so much.
Good evening, Board President Wilson, members of the board, and Superintendent Candle. My name is Jessica Baxley, and I am here representing my family and the families of other students whose time in life here was ended way too soon. I would just like to thank everybody who's come out today, especially speaking on such a critical issue such as safety in schools and violence and the impact that it has in our community. Our family knows that way too well. Unfortunately, February 13th, 2016, our 16-year-old Wesley Jennings was killed in a violent way. Here we are 2 years later, and at the time in which our family should be preparing for graduations and gearing up for all of that pomp and circumstance, we are still in the midst of mourning. I humbly ask that the school board consider some sort of process, some sort of plan that helps families when they go into that unfortunate mourning. We start our children in kindergarten, sometimes pre-K, gearing them for graduation. We decide what we're going to do, who we're going to fly out, all of those wonderful things. When a life is cut short, it does not mean that life no longer matters. And celebrating that life in a graduation is not a distraction. It is not meant to be about that one family. It is meant to be a healing process for those children who started kindergarten looking to graduate with their peers, wanting to celebrate and process the fact that some of their peers did not make it to that Holy Grail. I humbly ask again that you allow my aunt, Leilani Jennings, the opportunity to represent Wesley, represent the accomplishments that then Principal Bauer spoke to that had touched so many people in Federal Way School District, from Silver Lake Elementary, where Wesley began, to Sahalee Middle School, to Decatur, where he ended. I ask that you consider not just our family, but the other families who may come down our path and get their child into high school, planning for that day and not get to see that day. I humbly ask that you allow my aunt to walk. We understand that achieving a diploma is a big thing. I have 2 children who have graduated from federal school districts. I push them to understand how important and how significant that goal was. We are not asking that you change the graduation requirements or any of those things. We are asking that you put in place some plan that deals with posthumous graduation. Thank you for your time, and I just pray that with all these people here and with the work that we're wanting to do together, and some of us who dedicate our life to children and working in schools, that this tragedy does not revisit anybody else. But I also understand that, unfortunately, there's many ways that that can happen. I just thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Good evening, Board President Wilson, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Tammy Campbell. My name is Florence Tanaka. I have a first grader and a fourth grader in your school district. 4 years ago, when we came to our school, we were happy. It was a nurturing environment. The staff were great, dedicated. Over the last 2 years, we've noticed a change. And you see, it's disheartening when you have kids come home and say that somebody got punched in the face at school. Or you talk to another parent and they said that my child got pushed down onto the asphalt at the playground and threatened. Those are things that no child should ever experience and no child should ever witness. We've seen an improvement with the introduction of PBIS at our school a couple months ago, which is a testament to the hard work and dedication of the school staff and the leadership. But it's still not good enough. The staff work hard and care, but the school needs more support from the district. We need more staff to teach social emotional skills to all students, work one-on-one and in small groups with disruptive students. Mad and sad kids still need to learn, and they need the skills to be able to overcome their difficulties so they can succeed. The kids who are in the classroom trying to learn can't because they're being diverted and they're being evacuated, or their teachers are too busy dealing with the disruptive kids to be able to teach. I'm a parent that thinks that there is great value in being around different sorts of people, even difficult environments, because it's something that you're going to need to have as you're an adult, to be dealing with different types of people, get along, and figure out how we can move forward. But at the same time, as time goes by, I wonder how much more my children could be learning if they weren't in this sort of environment. I don't feel like I should have to move to another school district or look into private schools and spend $25,000 a year for each of my kids to get a quality education. I think that's something that they can and should achieve here, but it's just not happening. And facing the reality that people are moving out. I hear stories from friends who are moving to Bonnie Lake, to Maple Valley, because they feel like the schools are better and it's safer. And when you have a situation like that, you get less funding, you got less students to model the desired behavior that you want, and you're not creating a positive learning environment. The other issue that I have...
Okay, we're going to have to end, so if you have one more sentence, that's awesome, but your 3 minutes is up.
Okay. I would like the school district to partner with the city council and the mayor. You need to know what is happening with the city because it affects issues downstream.
Thank
for
you.
Students.
Thank you very much, and I would agree. Thank you. The next three are, is it Machism? Ooh. Martin Yuk and Joanne Griot and Kristen Tomasi.
Good evening. Sorry.
That's okay.
Good evening, Board President Wilson, members of the board, and Supreme President Dr. Campbell.
Thank you. You're good.
I am a student at Rainier Middle School. I am here to talk about safety and discipline because I am scared sometimes to be on campus. I'm scared not to get threatened. I've been threatened in the past. I've seen kids curse out teachers, and that is not right. We do not need those kids at our schools if they're going to be acting that way. I've seen kids punch out windows. I was in a classroom that a kid punched out a window. We do not need those kids in the school. A couple days ago, I was threatened, and he threatened to punch me. And then a couple days earlier, he was laughing at me. We do not need those kids.
Thank you. Thank you. You're good. Okay. Take a deep breath. You're doing just fine.
Is there last thing you want to say? I'm so proud of
I've
you.
been in the office when kids yelled at the office teachers, and that is not right. We need those kids to be out of our school, for them not to be doing those things, for their discipline to be actually right. And thank you, and I hope you guys respond.
Thank you for being so courageous and so brave. I need to thank you for being so courageous and so brave, because it's only with courage that we learn what we need to know and can make a difference. So I want to just tell you how important it is that you come and you share, because out of the mouth of young people are the solutions, and also sharing the problems that you deal with every single day. You know, as parents, we don't leave our good kids at home. We bring the best that we have, but we also understand it impacts every single young person in that classroom. So just know we're listening, okay? And want to just thank you again for being so brave and courageous to tell us your story. Okay, all right. Joanne.
Good evening, Board President Wilson, members of the board, and Superintendent Campbell. My son is in special ed at Pahala Elementary School. And I'll give you a little history about him. I adopted him from China. He was in an orphanage, and this was the end of the last school year. He completed his IEP on June 6th, and it was decided he would be put in a fifth grade split class. Typically, children from orphanages are 4 to 6 months behind educationally, socially, and developmentally for every year that they spend in an orphanage. He was in an orphanage for 11 years, being neglected. When I got a call on September 5th stating that the fifth split class was disbanded, and he would be going into 5th grade. I said, no way. So instead of taking a job as a school nurse that I was offered, I pulled him out and homeschooled him, except for his special education, because I don't know how to read Braille. He's been my son for 1 year. I asked for a lower grade. I brought in literature from Dr. Boris Jindis, who is a psychologist that specializes in internationally adopted children from orphanages. A few people in his IET meeting read the information. There was one who flat out refused. In fact, her exact words were, "I don't need to read this information. I know he's going into 5th grade." That was her exact words. So we developed another IEP, and I brought up a lot of information I'm just learning about my son. I brought up behaviors that are indicative of other problems. I've brought up the problems about putting him in 5th grade and why he should be put in a lower grade, and the doors were, they were closed-minded. They would not even hear of it. I asked for more testing. I didn't agree with the testing that they did, so I requested an IEE. I was asked to have a IEP meeting to discuss this, which I believe that is not part of asking for an IEE. However, I did not do that meeting because it would have been fruitless. So I requested an IEE and it was denied. And I would just like to ask, why are $20,000 or more being spent to deny a child a test that would cost them $3,000 to $5,000 at the max? I don't know my son. The school does not know my son. By testing him, learning about how he learns only makes it so that the school wins and he wins. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Board President Wilson, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Campbell. My name is Kristen Tomasi, and I am a parent first, and I have 3 children, and I have the blessing of one in every level of school this year. I got elementary, middle, and high school, and I'm also now a para because I just can't get enough of kids. So, and I'm not going anywhere. I love kids. So, but one thing I just want to say is there's so many things that are so different in our society nowadays. We've got more dual income families than ever. We have more single parents than ever. There's so many different dynamics that are in our schools. Our schools have changed. The kids are changed. We need more programs. We need more paras. We need more money to go for support. When I was a kid growing up, there was an aide in every single classroom. Every single class had an aide. And I'm not talking just the happy room mom. I'm talking a para. There was a para, an aide in every class. These teachers feel powerless every day. I see altercations, not just with kids, but they're in these teachers' faces. They're in my face. And, you know, I try to reach them all. And I've been seeing some success because, you know, some days are better than others. But the one thing that has been consistent when we have things that are problems, whether it's a kid with a scholastic issue, whether it's a behavior issue, a lot of them will basically tell you to your face, what are they going to do to me? They know you can't touch them. They know you can't do anything to them. And it's just really, the teachers are powerless. The staff is powerless. Our office staff, they don't need to be babysitting these kids. We need more programs. We need, whether it's a small group environment, and I have the beauty of actually, I'm really blessed. I got this awesome position where I can actually interact with kids at recess, in the cafeteria, and in small group now, and around the school, or wherever else they need me. And I'm also the safety patrol person now, so I'm just digging in deep. I love it. I love what I do. But I speak for all of these schools, teachers. I've seen it everywhere. I see it at the middle school level. I see it at the high school level. I hear it from kids. A lot of kids knew I was coming tonight. Mrs. Tomasi, what are they going to do? Can they help us? Can you get some help, Mrs. Tomasi? I hear this a lot. You know, and I say every day, you know, every day is a new chance to start again, to try, but we need support in our schools. Our teachers, they need the support. We're losing teachers. Teachers are leaving the district because they're not feeling supported. And I'm not going anywhere. I want to make this district better. I want to make our schools better. I want our teachers supported. And I just want to see if there's, you know, something that you guys can do to help make that happen, because I work with the most dynamic staff every day. They are engaging, they work hard, but we need more support. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next 3, Kay Walls, Leilani Jennings, and is it Marquise Hale?
Who's first? I don't know.
No, go for it. Okay. You're up. Thank you.
Good evening, Board President Wilson, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Campbell. I am supposed to be we, but only I got on the ticket. We would like the opportunity to make the community, the school board, and the administration know what we think and how we feel about the teaching and learning conditions in Federal Way public schools. I'm willing to be this voice. Many people did not want to stand up here tonight, and I think that's a little telling as well. Since we already have a lot of people standing, I was going to do a stand-up if, but since a lot of people are already standing, maybe we can just do a raise your hand or give a clap or something like that if you support the following statements. Raise your hand if you think having a student counselor ratio 700, 500, or 400 to 1 is unacceptable. Raise your hand if you believe in your students but know they aren't getting enough support or time to learn. Raise your hand if you believe our students with IEPs deserve access to general ed classrooms but need more support. Raise your hand if you are concerned about building security for staff and students. Raise your hand if you and your students have felt physically unsafe this year in your classroom. Raise your hand if you think the guaranteed and vital curriculum has contributed to lower student engagement and higher negative behaviors. Raise your hand if you think it is inadequate having only one psychologist in the building. Yes, or share your psychologist. Raise your hand if you have more students than tables and chairs in your classroom. Raise your hand if you have more than 32 students in your classroom. I should raise my hand. Raise your hand if you are worried about that girls are getting used to being victims. Raise your hand if you fear students don't have access to school environment that lets them learn the boundaries and behaviors that they need to succeed. Raise your hand if you think kids deserve access to the library and librarians. Raise your hand if you have been sworn at during class this year. Raise your hand if you have been pushed, shoved, or injured by a student this year.
All right, are you in your last one right now? Pick your most important.
Stand up if you are considering leaving Federal Way Public Schools so you can take your children with you and it has nothing to do with salary.
All right, thank you very much.
Hello, everybody.
Okay, Marquise, go for it. You gotcha.
Hello, everybody. My name's Marquise Hale. I'm a student of Decatur High School. Well, first of all, good evening, board, President Wilson, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Campbell. I'm here tonight for a good friend of mine. His name is Wesley Jennings. I've known him since pretty much elementary school. We grew up together. That was my brother. I come here tonight just to simply ask to really find it in your hearts and have sympathy in your hearts to let us and our dream come true. One of the things we asked for graduation is for his mother to walk in representation of him. And I feel like we had words put in our mouths by saying that it would be a disruption. We asked for this, and bottom line is it's our graduation. And so why would we not want her to walk with us? We've all become her kids. since he's been gone. And it's hard for me to be in Decatur High School knowing that I have my mother and I have her to represent and to live for. So I'm asking, please find it in your heart to let her walk on stage with us in graduation, for graduation. She don't need nothing else. She just deserves to walk with us, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you so much. So Leilani's up.
If it's all right, can I swap places with her? I believe she's coming after me, Lynn Idahosa.
Okay, well, okay, so Tirsa, you want to go first?
Lynn, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, Lynn. Okay, well, I hadn't even called you yet, so you guys are deciding the order?
Is that, no, I'm asking if that's appropriate. I'm not
Well, I had given an order, it's go for it. You're all talking about the same
Thank you
thing.
so much.
So Lynn, I'm so sorry. You are Lynn. Go for it. I'm sorry.
Okay. Good evening, Board President Wilson, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Campbell. My name is Lynn Idahosa, and I'm a PCO and a member of the 30th District here. That's actually up for re-election this year. But the views I share tonight are my own. Last month, I spoke to you all, and I was glad that you were all open to the message I delivered regarding Wesley Jennings' family. We say that the city of Federal Way is centered on opportunity. Do you know what that means to me and other people that I come to a lot of these meetings to represent? It means that we strive to be innovative in how we handle things. As I mentioned last month, all over the country, this issue is occurring more often than I would like to say. Laws and policies are being developed addressing posthumous death within the student body prior to their senior year and regardless of the number of credits that they have earned. I sent nearly 20 separate articles to the superintendent's articles at their request that not only showed other districts around the country that have policies that grant honorary certificates of completion, but also allow parents like Leilani Jennings to walk in their students' honor as long as they were enrolled in the high school at the time of their passing. One of the things that shows me how important a formal policy is that currently these decisions are made on a case-by-case basis if the student isn't a senior. School districts run by policy. It's especially imperative that in cases like these, dealing with grieving families, that they don't feel singled out or that for some reason their needs are being ignored. Over the last month, I spent time with students and residents in Federal Way and asked them how this issue personally affects them and how they would feel about Leilani being allowed to walk in their son's honor. If you are here tonight to represent the Jennings family, can I have you please stand or wave your hand, please? I've got a couple in the back. It's kind of packed in here tonight.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you all for your support. Speaking to the community, I have only heard good things regarding my request for the most part. Students have said they would appreciate an opportunity to honor Wesley at this special time before they go off into adulthood. It's an important moment to reflect as well. In order to be completely transparent, I will also say that one person was against it. And that they mentioned that the school had a valid concern because the news reported that the crime that resulted in his death was drug-related. I personally have spoken with the prosecutor in this case, and that is not a fact. And can assure you that if you'd like that information, you can contact her as well. The media has a tendency to make it seem when black and brown boys or women are in an issue of violence, it is due to drugs or gangs, but that is not always the case, and certainly not in Wesley's case, and we have to respect and honor that. If that was a concern, it can be rectified. Leilani's communicated to me that what was offered is a private ceremony prior to graduation, stating that no one can attend, where they will play music and give her a certificate. I'm extremely glad the decision to give her a certificate has been agreed to, but I do think it's important to remember that this is the last, most important moment that Leilani and the students that went to the school and spent a decade with Wesley to honor him will have. He was an exemplary student, athlete, and situations like this give us an opportunity to honor him and also teach our children how to appropriately grieve. I appreciate the work the district has done so far, but I humbly ask, don't miss out on the opportunity to do this the right way. Wesley and other mothers like Leilani and other students like Maurice, who you just heard from, deserve the opportunity to have this experience. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next up is Tomiko Struthers, Leilani Jennings, and then Tirsa Pedrosa. Tomiko Struthers? It gets better every time. Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Is Leilani here, or are they all out in the hall? Oh, okay, you want to go ahead, or are you ready?
I apologize, there's a delay outside, so people are just getting the words that you...
Okay, well, what we'll do is, Leilani, would you like to come forward, or is, okay, thank you. Yeah, Tamika, right there. Thank you.
Well, I guess I'll start with saying good evening, Board President Wilson, members of the board, and the Superintendent, Dr. Campbell. If you guys don't mind, I'm just going to read. I'm not into the political correctness, if you will. I speak and think with my heart. So please bear with me. My name is Tamiko Struthers. I am here this evening on behalf of quote-unquote AKA. She is my aunt, my cousin, my sister, my friend, but most importantly, she is Wesley's mother. We understand that Wesley's not here on this earth as we desire him to be anymore. However, his mother is still here, and we're grateful for that. And we encourage her to live out as many dreams as she can. It was our only birth-given child she'll ever have. She sows into the community, the young lives. Young lives matter to me. That's what I do for a living. And this woman sows into young lives quietly. With the most humble heart that I have, with all the humility I can find inside of me, I just plead with the board to please allow and help this mother to continue healing and giving her closure. For she's not just a grieving mother, but she is a mother that is still continuing to be a mother to children that may be motherless. And I thank you guys. Just reach down. Think with your hearts, if you would, please. Just for a moment, think with your heart and not your mind. See if it changes it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Good evening, Superintendent, Dr. Tammy Campbell, and the rest of the board. My name is Leilani Jennings, and it's very difficult for me to stand up here and talk to you guys without being so emotional. Not only is this important for me, but it is for the rest of Decatur High School's graduating class. It was their dream that they all wanted to graduate together. My son's been in this school dress all of his life. And for all the kids to be friends with the families and the mothers and all the family, friends, cousins that are out there. My son grew up with all these kids, and I've listened to all these kids' dreams of all the things that they were going to do, where they were going to go, what they hope to see. And I'm just asking you guys to let me help fulfill that dream for Wesley, and let me be a part of that class of 2018 for Decatur High School. I don't think it would be too much out of the way to be able to do that. I do appreciate the offer that came my way, but it wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't be the same for another student to carry my son's picture, although I would appreciate it, but no one's going to represent him like I can. And it is so important to me to have a little bit more closure on this situation, as well as for the kids. So not only am I just speaking for me, I'm speaking for the whole senior class at Decatur High School. They have all contacted me, phone, text, come to my home, everything, and asked me to help speak on their behalf as well. And if you need all that in writing, we can make that happen. But I was a strict mother, and I would have never allowed my child to be involved in something that wasn't right. So I must repeat again, my son lost his life over something so frivolous. I don't want any parent to have to ever go through that. They robbed my child, and it had nothing to do with drugs, and it's already been come out in court. So if this has been a factor, I can get you that in writing and let you know that that's not it. All I can do is repeat and ask you to let me help fulfill the dreams of the rest of the senior high school of Decatur, as well as Wesley's, to be able to walk with these kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Tirza. Shirosa. Thank you.
Hi, thank you. I don't really have a lot to say. I kind of just wanted to iterate what's already been said and look at it from a different eye, the eye of mental illness and grief and loss. Grief and loss is a process that people walk through, and a lot of times we know people get stuck in that process. For something very simple as letting somebody walk, it's a huge deal. I work with a lot of children, and a lot of those kids who have had things happen to them in life and have not been able to move past that, you see that acting out as you're become an adult because they've gotten stuck in certain places. And it would be so simple to just continue to look at this as helping somebody move through that process. And again, because we are people who make laws and make rules, we can also make changes. That's what you guys are here for. When this wasn't an issue a long time ago, so there was no need to make a change. But as you see it's a change, it needs to be changed now. And we're not the only state that looks at this. There are several states, other counties, even school districts here in the Washington state that have already made arrangements for situations like this. And you can also help these young people move through. A lot of times young people won't talk to us because they feel we don't listen, but they're talking to each other. They're coming by and they're talking to the other people here, his mother. They're talking to them, so they are saying what they want. But if we're not willing to listen, they'll stop talking. And then what? So we have to also be responsible adults and show them the way that, yes, we can make change, because it's not for us, we're out of school. But if some of us can remember, I was just talking to some people in the hallway, a lady who's grown like me. Her brother was 16 when he lost his life in high school, and she said she wishes there would have been something like that for her. So she's still stuck in certain areas because we won't allow people to move through. And we know the situation we have, even in Federal Way with people with mental illness and things, they've just gotten stuck. It'll be so simple to help this woman move through and open the door for anybody else that's going to be coming behind her that this situation may be going on. So I do want to say thank you. I appreciate your time. And again, you're in the positions to make changes. That's what you're here for. So please consider. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, I have no more blue slips, so I think we are done with public comment. And so next on the agenda is scholar representatives, and both of our scholars are busy getting ready for the end of school year for them. So they're not with us tonight at the meeting, so we will pass on the scholar representative reports, and I will pass this over to Superintendent Campbell for superintendent comments.
I want to just thank everybody who came out tonight and to let you know we're listening. And we're going to continue to work in ways that illustrate that. I don't necessarily have a response, but I want to tell you that we're listening to you. And I want to be thoughtful about what our next steps are going to be. I will tell you we're engaged in a special ed audit that already is telling us things that we could do to improve our practice. We reached out to parents on that. If anyone is in the room who participated in the audit, can you raise your hand where you listened? So we've engaged parents. That audit findings, when they come back, we're going to be very transparent about what those audit findings are. I'm going to share with the board. I'm going to do just what I did with my 100-day plan. We're going to present it here at a board meeting so our community knows, and we're going to be responsive. And we're going to continue to have strategies where we work and partner site by site to figure out how to double down and support and work to improve our schools. You know, I subbed in a classroom. I was specifically at Sacagawea where I subbed. And I remember telling the SAC staff, I had my hands full. And that's one of the reasons that I've asked our leadership teams to be out in schools. And I've talked to principals about how important it is that learning environments are sacred. And so when you talk about safety, you have to know that that's something that I care about personally, and it's something that we're talking about and thinking about, and we'll be reaching out to our staff to figure out how to continue to solve this challenge together, and I believe that we can. Additionally, I want to thank the Jennings family. I talked to you about 10 days ago, Leilani, and I talked about the possibility of a 7:30 celebration where the board and I would be there, our photographer. Anyone you want to come could come. It would be right before the Decatur graduation. And we would give you a special event. And that opportunity is still on the table. I came by your house the next day. when your baby lost his life. I can't imagine what you're going through. But I want you to know that we have thought about this, and we feel that this intimate service ceremony on the day of graduation, right before Decatur, is a way for us to personalize it. And anyone that you want to come can come. I would like to talk to you some more, and if you can give me a call, I want to continue the dialogue, because this isn't a heartless thing. My heart aches for you and with you. That's all.
Next up, school board comments, and I'm going to move to my left here. Director Ole, do you have any school board comments tonight? All right. Director Eto.
Well, there's plenty to fix, and so I really don't have any comment.
All right. Director McAnally.
In the interest of time, I'll also pass on comments this evening.
Okay. What I will say, I'll go to Director Gregory. Do you have any comments?
I have none. Other than to thank everyone for coming. You know, one of the difficult jobs that we have is knowing enough, and we never do. And wherever we can make decisions with more information, we're better off. And this is a changing school district. It has been, and it's going to be challenging for a while as we work through a lot of issues. But we're committed to do that, and we think we have the right person at the helm, and it's now just a matter of figuring it out all together. We can't do it just by ourselves as a school board or as a superintendent. So whenever you feel a need to come talk to the board, this is the place to be. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
I would reiterate that, and I would say that intent versus impact, when you have 23,000 students that you're serving, it's very difficult to know what meets the needs of all students, and that is the job of a school board, not to create a policy for a child, but to create policy for 23,000 students, and then those policies sometimes don't work, and that's when parents come and advocate, and then we find out sometimes systems are not working either, or that systems need to be adjusted. And what I appreciate is having people come and spend time with us tonight, sharing their thinking, sharing their challenges, and also sharing their willingness to move towards solution, because we all care about kids, and we all care about the children and the scholars of this district. You wouldn't be here, and we wouldn't be here if we didn't think about that, and we didn't think how important that was, but also want to take it seriously and know that there's intent versus impact, and we have to be very careful as we move forward to make sure we're doing the right thing for the right reason with the right outcomes, and that we're not moving too quickly to make change and then find out we're going in a direction we don't want to go in. Your children are your most important possession and your prized possession, and that is with all of us. And I, again, just want to thank you for coming and sharing your concerns. Mrs. Jennings, there's not a thing I can say. My heart hurts. And we shared that the last time as well. And there are parents that have weighed in that have lost children and believe like you. There are parents who have weighed in and have lost children and believe differently about what a district should or should not do. So every time we're faced with something, we really have to think about how we approach it to make sure that, again, we're creating policy and we're creating a practice that meets the needs of the 23,000 students in this district. And it oftentimes is not a simple decision to make. It takes a lot of conversation, a lot of thinking. And just know that everything we hear and everything we do, we take very seriously. So with that, we will move on to, all right, so we will do EL1, and it's, we're taking action on human resources, which is, Dr. Campbell, are you doing presentation on that?
David Brower will be doing that presentation. Come on up, David.
It would sound defensive.
If people are not interested in hanging out for the executive limitation, you could make your way out. We'll just take it one minute while we wait, and Mr. Brower, we will call you in 1 sec as soon as the action stops.
It's hard to listen.
Would be a defensive response to. I'm sorry.
So if people could just make their way all the way out, I know there gets to be a bottleneck out in that hallway. If you guys could maybe have conversations down the steps, that would help clear the room out a little more quickly. All black and all white. Yeah, I mean, that's why I said people don't leave their better kids at home. All sack and all white. All sack and all white. Sack is, but all white. Yeah.
I look forward to seeing you.
Okay, I'm going to try to have them start because it'll take. All right, David, you want to start because I think we're good. Yeah, we'll put our eyes on you.
Absolutely. Well, good evening. It is good to be here tonight. And President Wilson, members of the board, Dr. Campbell, I am proud to be here as representative of Human Resources, and I am so grateful for the opportunity you've given me to work in a job where the word human is in my title. And you have given me the opportunity to work so closely with the humans who are the Federal Way School District. So thank you so much. It is my privilege to talk about Executive Limitation 1. And so my purpose and goals right up there tonight. We're going to talk about what this EL means and what we are doing in Human Resources under the leadership of Dr. Campbell to make this happen. Executive Limitation 1 is about ensuring that we have the best teachers and the best systems in place to ensure that we have competent, caring, quality teachers in front of every student, and making sure that we are taking care of all of those scholars through the staff that take care of them. It is deeply rooted in our strategic plan and those 5 goals. So it's broken up into these 5 components, and I will talk briefly about each one of those components. And you have a memo in front of you that goes through each of these.
So board members, just as a reminder, the executive limitations, especially as we're still new figuring some of these things out, these are the guide rails that you have want me to be sure that I do to follow board policies related to policy governance. And this particular one is rooted in human resources. Okay.
So the first thing with EL1A is about having in place the policies, procedures, and processes to make sure that everyone is behaving in an ethical and legal way. And so you'll see up there those things that we do on an ongoing basis. These are things that are part of our everyday work of Human Resources. Yearly updating the policies, training people on the policies through Safe Schools, which is an online training forum, as well as through in-person and even individual as needed training on those policies and procedures. We maintain all of our compliance records in HR, and we make sure that we have a rigorous process if people come in to make sure that there is no nothing in their criminal history that would make them a danger to our scholars. EL1B is about making sure that if Dr. Campbell has to be out of the district, that we still move forward. And not just that we move forward for that day, but that all of the leaders in the district are learning and growing and being able to act in a highly proactive manner. And so we have a protocol that we use if she is ever out of the district to make sure that there is a point person, and that rotates through the cabinet, and we have people who are designated to do that, as well as making sure that all of the members of cabinet leadership are continually being trained to elevate our leadership and to act courageously. With staff relations, EL1C is about making sure that we have teachers in front of every student and in every classroom, but ensuring that they are able to be the best teachers that they want to and need to be. So we continually, and this is an ongoing process, providing equity training for our staff, making sure that we have rigorous hiring practices, legal and defensible at the minimum, but making sure that we get the best people. And so we have been able to do that. We've also made sure that, well, I go this. It's about hiring, it's about evaluation, and it's about training. And you'll see on your memo those things that we do. We made sure that the evaluation process is rigorous and that every person has an evaluation tool that provides essential feedback. We believe that it is a right of an employee to get feedback in a timely manner on their practice, and that it's not just about a one and done. And a few years ago, many of our employee groups would have evaluation systems that were just meet at the end of the year, and now we have been transitioning so that every employee group has a feedback-oriented evaluation system. One of the things I want to talk about one of the things that we measure in human resources is our retention and the staff that we are retaining. This is critical for us. We have a goal of 85%. That's a floor, but we strive to go beyond that. You see that you have some data in front of you. That's a 3-year trend. This year's trend is to date. We're on track to meet our goal. We recognize that that will change as people's life circumstances may change and they may take jobs elsewhere. But we track this on an ongoing basis because we want to make sure that we know and we can measure those staff that are staying with us and continue to take care of our scholars. So you see that data in front of you. We also pay attention to the diversity of our staff. And so you see this slide reflects our 4-year trend of our administrative staff. This reflects the 4-year trend of our certificated staff. And this reflects the 4-year trend of our classified staff. Now you notice I didn't make comments after each slide because I want to show this 4th slide. We are making progress in increasing the diversity of our staff, which is about students having people in front of them who look like them, who they can relate to, and to see people from all walks of life, and to know that all walks of life can come together and be in that classroom and in that school together. So you see that we are above the state averages in those categories listed. We talk about compensation. This is an ongoing process. Last year, we thank you for the significant commitment made to salaries with the teacher staff and the ESPs, as well as other employee groups. And we continue to monitor to make sure that we are staying competitive with the region amid the challenges that we have with funding and with all the other constraints that we may have.
David, can I just have you go back just
Absolutely.
to the...
If I can figure that out.
I just wanted the chart before with the populations, the diversity, so...
Absolutely.
Not that one, the one, no, before that. After, sorry. It's the one that the diverse staff matching our population there.
This one.
So can you just, so that like the 2 or more races, the top one, the state is 7.7% and we are at 4.1, or what is that telling me? I'm not sure.
You know, there must be a number wrong. I apologize. That 7.7 is not right. That's a typo in mine.
Okay.
So,
but we're ahead, not behind.
Yes, we're ahead, not behind. I
Okay.
apologize for my...
No, but, and are the other ones then correct?
Those other ones,
Okay.
those other ones would be correct. So I
Okay, thank
apologize
you.
for that miss.
Thank you, Director.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
I talked briefly about evaluation. This continues to be an ongoing process. This year, we made great strides in making new evaluation tools in partnership with the teaching groups for those teaching staff who are not in the classroom. So nurses and librarians, making sure that they also have a high-quality evaluation tool. And that work continues as we will continue to make sure that everyone has a tool that will provide them feedback. So with all of that, if there are any questions, I'd be happy to entertain them.
So board members, you'll notice the memo that's attached to the PowerPoint, which is Dr. Campbell's monitoring report for EL1, which contains evidence and information that goes probably a little bit deeper than what Mr. Brower has shared with us.
I have a question. Could you just share what are some of the primary reasons that teachers do leave the district?
So a variety of reasons, to be sure. And so as we track with exit surveys, there are those that are seeking opportunities in other districts in the area that they feel better meet their needs. There are those who are moving closer to home. That's a common one, is people moving closer to home and not commuting as far. People who are moving out of state with family. So there's a variety of reasons that we track.
Thank you.
So I have an ask of something that you're probably not going to know, but I would like to have it given back to us at a future date from Dr. Campbell. I'd like to know, out of the 149 we've lost this year, how many are psychologists, counselors, or certificated or classified staff that are tied to special education?
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Any other questions from the board?
I just have a comment. I just want to thank you. This is laid out in such a way that I can follow it. I don't have all the data that's coming, when I take this home and read it, but, it really makes sense to me what we were looking at and how we're doing, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I want to add the thanks too. Sometimes it's difficult to follow, but the way it's laid out visually, I can study it later.
Yeah.
But I have the information.
Yeah.
It's there.
We're working on that as a team. We're constantly talking about how to make it simple and easy to understand. So along with David, the whole team is thinking about that. You hear them giggle because we
They're
talk about it.
giggling back there, I
We
can
talk
tell.
about it, and we talk about it as a team. We know we can do better.
Yeah, we don't want 3-inch binders, right? We don't want 3-inch binders, but
No.
we want to know all the way down to the 0-foot level, but make it easy for us to
Yep.
Yeah.
understand, right?
Well,
Come on,
we're
you
not
can do it.
asking for a lot, just a little bit.
And I don't want this to be viewed as a negative, because we're trying to figure out how to do it so that it makes sense with all of the complicated data and everything else we're working with. So I think I think we've come a long way, and I'm very pleased with it. I know it's kind of a struggle for the rest of you who stay up all weekend trying to figure this out, but I think we're making, good progress. I only commented on this one because that's how I felt. I mean, now I can go back and read this. Sometimes I'm not stupid, but I probably don't need sometimes all the information I get in a 10-second speech.
We get a lot of water hose, big water hose, and that's a lot to take in. So what I am looking for from the board,
I just have
Director
one extra question, just so that we have it available for context. The goal is 85%. We're hitting 90% retention. Could you put that number in context relative to what typically happens in a school district?
So when you look across, we look at data around urban school districts, that number is often 82% is what you're looking at. So you're looking at a turnover rate of around 18 to almost 20%. And so we want to make sure that we are ahead of that.
And I just want to note that if we remember last year, we had a couple very large reorganizations within our district, and teachers had to reapply within buildings. So I'm not surprised by the number that dipped below 80% last year.
All right, given that, I am looking to Director Gregory, who is going to put a motion for the board to vote on.
I move that the Board of Education approve that Executive Limitation 1, Human Resources, is in compliance.
Is there a second?
I second that motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much. And we will now move on. I don't know if you're going anywhere. Are you?
This is just contract.
Oh, okay.
I'll do it.
So we have two actions that we need to take. And Director McAnally, do you just want to read?
Yep, I'll do them both.
Got it.
So I move that the Board of Education approve the issuance of contracts for all certificated teachers except those who have retired, resigned, or have been recommended for non-renewal for the 2018-19 school year, effective September 1st, 2018.
Second, thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have a second motion.
I move that the Board of Education approve the issuance of contracts to all certificated administrators, classified administrators, and exempt staff, except those that have retired, resigned, or have been recommended for non-renewal for the 2018-19 school year, effective July 1st, 2018.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And with that, the only thing I'll say is we had a board assessment that we did. I would say, board members, we did a nice job of listening. And I know we'll be processing and having conversation. I appreciate having people come ready to listen and ready to work and being prepared and knowing what's going on. So with that, I will say that we did a great job, and I appreciate the work of my board members, and I will call this meeting adjourned at 8:15. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you. Get a sign.
There was nothing that came through.